Yeah, that's good. So you're, Vicus, you are on our mailing list, right? So you get the,
No, I am not, but I'm gonna do that after I finish with the meeting today.
okay, yeah, because you'll get the recording for tonight if because
Okay,
not everybody gets the recording, only people that have requested it or are participants.
sure.
Yeah,
That would be great. Yeah, I'm gonna do that as soon as I'm done with the meeting.
okay. You can just write
So
something.
I just have to like give out my email, correct? That's it?
Yeah, you could. Well, let's see. Um, I don't know if you put it in the chat. There's a chat box. Um,
Just a sec.
I don't think the chat box gets put on YouTube. So just for privacy purposes,
No, I don't see a chat box on this window at least.
either at the bottom
But
of your screen, there's something that says a couple three dots, and underneath it
oh,
is
that's right. Yes, yes.
yeah. So if you put it in there, then I'll add you to the list.
Sure.
Yeah, we have some people that they just chat. They don't talk. Some people like that.
Yeah, probably they're talk shy or something.
Yeah. Well, some people don't like to be seen, and some people don't like to be heard, and
Well, you know what they say, it takes all kinds, right?
Oh yes, we have all kinds.
And for
So
a while, I didn't have a voice, so I was chatting at the beginning.
this email is more direct and more personal. So that's what did you get it, Kathleen?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay,
I'll write it right down here, and so then I'll just add you to the list.
thanks. Now, how do I close this window?
You just click on chat and it'll close.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Well,
So, Vikas, did you spend any time with Maharaj in the ashram, or?
No, I did not have that good fortune, I would say, of because I live in the East Coast, and as you know, he's on the West Coast,
Oh, okay.
correct? But I have studied a bit of his brother disciples' books, like Nisargadatta Maharaj.
Oh, good, good, yeah. That was his master, so yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's correct. Yes, yes. So I've studied his books, and I've also looked a little bit into Ranjit Maharaj.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And to be honest, I just found out about Ramakant Maharaj not too long ago. So, yeah.
Yeah, he has two nice books, Selfless Self and Ultimate Truth.
Okay.
Both of those are books that have basically you can kind of get the gist of his way of speaking about the lineage, the knowledge.
Is this available online, or is it
Oh, yeah. Amazon.com, you can get Selfless Self. You're in India, so I think it's like Amazon. You're also Zen Publications or whatever is big in India as well, right?
Say what?
Zen Publications. I know it's hard in America to get that, but I think that's like widely available there.
Just
Also,
a sec. Let me write this down.
Okay.
Could you tell those names again, please?
Yeah, Zen. Oh, the book names?
Correct.
Ultimate Truth. And the first one is Selfless Self. And if you just Google like Selfless Self, Ramakant Maharaj, and Ultimate Truth, you can actually go to ramakantmaharaj.us and click right on Ultimate Truth and like kind of read a little bit because it's available in Kindle. In your area, it's available from Zen Publications as a hard copy. In our area, it's mostly Kindle because of the transportation of the book, from India and everything.
Sure. Yeah, we'll do that.
And also contacting the ashram directly. I know there are a couple of devotees that are there that, can get you in touch with different various literature. They just sent us a bunch of stuff that we're passing around right now. Amrit Leia 3, that's Siddharmeshwar Maharaj. And Golden Day, that was Siddharmeshwar Maharaj. And then Master of Self-Realization in the copy that Maharaj actually has recommended, without the little feet.
What's, if you don't mind me asking, what's your relationship with ashram?
My relationship with ashram? I'm on the WhatsApp feed, you know, so I'm kind of in communication pretty much every day, seeing what's going on and all of that.
Oh, my question was, are you one of the trustees?
Trustee? No.
No.
I went to India in August of 2015 and stayed in the ashram for 1 month with Sri Ramakant Maharaj, took an Om mantra, and stayed in the ashram for that month, did the celebrations, bhajan and such. So I'm a disciple, I guess you would call, of Sri Ramakant Maharaj.
Cool.
But the ashram itself, I was just another Guru Bandhu type thing, you know?
Yeah, I'm familiar with that sentiment. I mean, yes, I hear you. Yes, sir. How do we proceed in the meetings? I know the ones on YouTube are probably edited, right?
No, it's raw footage. Just Kathleen sends it out, and then I download it and then upload it up onto YouTube. That's it. So they're not edited, unless you see like the very smaller ones, like I did last time. I made like a little 12-minute little version, but the whole always is up. When it says like Tuesday Talk, whatever the date is, that's the full thing. So.
Oh, I see.
In the very beginning, before when we were doing this, some people didn't care to have their faces on and talking and this and that. So then it was edited. But it's been like probably, 2 years that we've been doing it just straight from, you know, the meeting just goes up.
I see.
There's no.
Do you have a? Go ahead, Kathleen.
Oh, there's no agenda. We just present together, and whatever arises, we talk about. And very helpful. It's been very helpful for us. We, you know, doing it the last maybe 2.5 years, something like that, with this Zoom technology. So it's very useful, and it, you know, records it, and then everybody, even if they can't make it, they can get if they request the recording.
Sure. I was going to ask John if he had a chance to visit Nisargadatta Maharaj's place when he was in India.
No, I did not.
Okay.
I remained basically at the ashram. When I was there, the Kumbh Mela was coming into Nashik.
Sure.
So there are a lot of people. I stayed mostly at the ashram, except for a little bit of exploring. And then, of course, I have contracted the food poisoning, so I went to the hospital. So, but that was in a car and all of that. So I didn't really get out and do like a lot of sightseeing and stuff.
Okay.
Ramakant came to Washington, D.C. area, which is where Kate and I met him and met John.
Yeah.
Oh, so you all of you are from the East Coast?
No, just the three of us.
Just 3 of you. Okay.
Yeah, we have Sandra here, who's in Los Angeles. She's the one that just waved. And then we also have Andrew, who usually comes. He's not here this week, but he's in Sedona. And Keith is in Cincinnati?
Cleveland.
Oh, Cleveland.
And
Okay.
I came down to meet Maharaj when he was in D.C.
Cool.
So I was wondering if Sandra, did she get to meet him also?
No, I was going to meet him this year when he came out, but then he didn't come out.
Right.
Oh, I couldn't hear that. What?
She was saying that she was going to meet him this year because he was supposed to come to the USA, but he left the body prior to
Yeah,
his visit
right,
to
right.
USA.
Yeah, I think I seen Andrew in the last video you guys posted,
Yes.
and he's from where?
Sedona, Arizona.
Yeah.
Okay, I've heard about it. It's supposed to be like some mystical, like
Oh, yeah.
energetic place, right?
Yeah, right, right. It is kind
Yeah,
of.
it
I
is.
was there. I kind of felt it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. And there's some kind of energy vortexes they talk about. I don't know how all that works, but it's a very nice, it's in the desert, northwest of Phoenix.
Yeah, if you look
So
at
pretty-
pictures,
So I'm assuming pretty hot.
Oh, yes, yes.
actually, Sedona's not nearly as hot as like Phoenix, and
Oh, yeah.
it's very beautiful if you see pictures of it.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures. It's gorgeous. I mean, sandstones and
Yeah,
Yeah.
quite a very distinct landscape, I would say.
yeah.
Yes. It's also not far from the Grand Canyon. So people go there, they usually go to the Grand Canyon as well. Yeah.
So what's up for today? What shall we talk about?
Do you have any questions?
No, I'm gonna let you lead. If I have anything, I'm gonna ask. Maybe a few minutes into.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I have something to say. I spent 2 days with Alma, the hugging saint.
Oh, I've met her once too.
She's been here in DC for the last 2 days. So she's not in the same tradition, but she's a real live, well, some people think she's an avatar. She hugs people for like 12 hours at a time. She's amazing. And
She keeps doing it around. She keeps coming around like every year.
yeah, she comes to DC every July, and I think she's hugged over 1 million people. Over her. I think she's probably in her early 60s now. I'm not
But
sure.
let's take advantage of having John with us and versus
No, I'm just
talking about-
saying. I'm not trying to take anything away. I'm just saying that's what
Yeah.
was happening for me.
No, I mean I do agree with you, Kathleen. I mean she does have a very affectionate demeanor, and I've seen pictures of her. I'm not sure about her spiritual status,
Yeah.
but she does come across as being pretty genuine in her demeanor. Sure.
Yeah. It's just a lovely event to attend if you want. If you can't have the opportunity to.
Did you get a chance of hugging her? Or?
Oh yes. Yes. Yeah. Everyone does.
Gotcha.
So. Anyway.
I guess,
This is Manohar.
John, my frustration is, I know better, and yet the mind just babbles and babbles and babbles. And when I remember, I do the mantra, and I can stop the mind with a mantra, but I forget and just get hooked into the mind babbling. And it's frustrating because, I know better.
Before John answers, can I say something? Will it be okay?
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Well, I was wondering if we can just change that word from the babbling mind to the bubbling mind.
Mhm.
It's just humor. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's the same thing. You are not body, you are not body, you're not going to remain body. So all these thoughts are about something that you are not. And the mind can only present things to you based on those things that you know or it knows. Prior to beingness, there was no mind. The whole concept of mind came along, spontaneous presence, mind, ego, intellect, came along with the body, came along with the world. All these things you're separated from. This presence appeared to you. You were there, whether the presence is there or not, but that's like your first and last thing to know, presence. That's it. Formlessly aware. the meditation should allow you to get in contact with that presence that you are and remain there. And then you can discern it very quickly among any other things. Everything is coming and going, and you're not coming and going. All these things are coming and going, and you're still there. It's like they talk about the doorway and the presence, the I am, the being, whatever you want to call it, is the doorway. On one side of the door is the world and the belief and the body and all the stuff that's going on. And on the other side of the door is your own self. And whether the door is there or not, you are. You're able to use this sense of presence to kind of peer through the door that's open in just presence as everything is appearing. But you know that you can look at this presence and then the world is on the other side. So just remain on the side of the door that all this activity is not, that the world is not, that the body is not. All these things that appear to be happening are not. You remain on the side of the door where all you're seeing is presence, and knowing that all of the rest of the world is on the other side of this presence.
For me, it's taken time to get used to that. Used to discerning the presence, kind of, and it is, it's gradually getting better, but it is tricky. When I do mantra, it doesn't always connect me with that.
Well, mantra erases all the illusory layers on presence, so that presence is the only thing that's basically kind of, all the illusory layers are gone. Maharaj talks about all the ash being removed and the fires underneath. The fire is this sense of presence that's burning underneath, and it's not able to be felt because it's covered with all the ash. You remove the ash, there's the fire. And in meditation, if for some reason mind is active more during the day than sitting for meditation and just remaining with the sense of presence, be with you always, and you're able to discern very quickly. Once you recognize this presence, you can use this body form in any moment, and it reflects in a mirror mind. This is the reflection of my spontaneous presence is projecting this entire thing. And it's just known. And then everything that's in this form world, we had talked about before, the space in this room being active and alive and able to animate this dead hunk of flesh and speak. Well, if you were the space in the room that was active and alive and you knew nothing other than yourself, and suddenly you were using this body to speak, it could be confused with, oh, this is myself. This is the first time I know myself. Before I was there, but I didn't know I was there. Now suddenly I'm aware. And that's this whole kind of I am, I exist. It's the first sort of thought, as they call it, the primal illusion, that appeared, the nothingness, that something has appeared prior to beingness. And prior to beingness is remaining on the other side of the door of presence. Presence is the door. It's not open, it's not shut, it's just presence. All of the world and all of the activities are appearing on the presence. You remain on the side of the door. This is the door. This is you. This is the world. And all of the world, the mind, the body, the whole bubble of illusion is on the other side of the door of presence. So just remain basically observing presence, but you don't even need to observe it because it's there. Like there's no, it's not, it's a, I think Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj talks about the sun, it's rising. You're not really witnessing the sun rising. The sun is rising and you happen to be seeing this, but it's not really an active participation. It's just, oh, sun is rising. It's there. Presence is here. It's everything, all of everything. And once you stay at the other side of the door and allow everything to come and go as it will, including your body, which is on the other side of the door. The body you're believing yourself to be is on the other side of the door. It's one on this side, presence, and then all the everything, all the forms taking birth and forms falling and, like we said, rotting and all this sort of stuff. You're on the other side of the door. All you see is presence. And what can the mind say about this? You know, mind is going to talk about what it knows, the form world. You know yourself as formless. Sri Ramakat Maharaj says all the time, unidentified, invisible, anonymous identity, that you are. So how is a thought going to be about that when you identify yourself with that? That you are, that presence, that you are on the other side of the door of this presence, because you are, that's all you see, just presence.
I wonder what Trish's take is on what you said. What do you think, Trish?
No, I agree with everything he's saying.
That's it?
Yeah, you mean, I've heard this message before. It just seems like hearing John say it seems to make it sink in better.
Okay.
You know, he has such a beautiful way of putting it that it just sinks in better and better. And I've never had any argument with anything John said.
But what?
To me, John speaks the truth very beautifully and very clearly.
I see.
Sorry, this is Manohar. Not to interrupt. I don't know. What's your name? The one from India?
Oh, Vikas?
Hello. Because
Hi.
this is like Dakshinamurti. Hi, this is Manohar. You know about Dakshinamurti, right?
Yes.
And the talking to his people.
Could you
questions.
Could you get a little closer to the microphone, please?
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, thanks.
This is like Lord Dakshinamurti, trying to teach his disciples, This goes on and on for 10,000 years. And then Lord Shiva, right, goes into their minds and wipes out everything in their mind. And all of a sudden, their mind is pretty clean and they can understand what Lord Shiva is saying. So we're trying to take advantage of John because it's very gracious of us. I'm gracious of John to help us out. So we're trying to take maximum advantage of John, actually. Whatever John speaks, John has seen it. So that's all I believe.
What do you mean seen it?
How should I tell you? Think of it that way, that John realized his own self. So, which I'm trying to realize myself on my end too, but there's no I to begin with. So think of it this way, it's like Lord Shiva's conversation with his disciples. At one point it clicks and then we're all good. So there's only 45 minutes of time, right? Or 1 hour and in a week. So John actually shares his experience or anything, insights. And we're just trying to catch on to it. That's all.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, John, this was a story, Lord Shiva. The same story, like he had 4 disciples actually. And they kept on asking questions after questions to Lord Shiva about it. And then I think they say this conversation went on for 10,000 years. And ultimately, when they reached a maturity level, then he kind of like went inside their minds and wiped them off clean. And then they could see it clearly. Like, this is it. So.
Good. Yeah, basically, Maharaj tells the story of Eklava. And I love that very beautiful story because I told Maharaj, I said, oh, Maharaj, you're my statue. So there isn't, I may be coming off because the 5 elements are not behaving nicely. It looks like a thunderstorm or something.
Yeah, I've actually got it going on here, thunderstorm.
Yeah,
but the Eklava is a very beautiful story because, Dronacharya or whatever, I'm not too familiar with the terms, but this guy, he didn't want to teach Arjuna archery. And Instead he goes, not Arjuna, Eklava. He was teaching Arjuna and those guys, but Eklava, he wouldn't teach him. So he went and he built a statue. And his inner master began the speaking and began kind of training him and saying, oh yeah, this is how you do the arrow and this. So that selfless self-devotion, Atma Navida Bhakti or whatever, internally, the speaking started happening. And the master is not a physical form. The master is within you. And as it begins to communicate with your own self, it's a melting process, basically. And that's why then, even at the end, he gave his thumb freely. And that's the idea of, okay, I've given this knowledge. It's your knowledge. Like Sri Ramakant Maharaj, when I came to India, I wrote in the journal, which I put all that stuff on the site, but I wrote in the journal and I said, I'm going to India to meet this presence in physical form and bow down and surrender completely to it and thank it, because it really changed my life. I began starting to feel the presence and do meditation and feel this and that. And Maharaj then, because the sense of presence was already there, lightly, then he kind of finished it by, you are not body, you were not body, you're not going to remain body. So the concept of separation that was held through the mind, based on being a separate body form, dissolved. Maharaj says, you are not body, you were not body, you're not going to remain body. And yet presence is. So then it's, so that I. That presence is if just like he talked about the ashram space and the bathroom space. The walls come down, space is space. And it's the same. The sense of presence that I'm feeling using this body form, I am not body, I was not body, I'm not going to remain the body. The presence is the same that's holding this body and that body. Speaker and a listener are one, just using different animated forms. It's moving about and animating these forms. Like Maharaj says, if presence leaves this body even for a moment, it's a dead body. You burn and bury it. And that's why the example of the space in the room being alive, aliveness, like, and then suddenly it touches with this body and there's a speaking. The space in the room speaking through this body form could get confused that it's this body, because this body is the first time that it recognized itself as something separate, a sense of existence that somehow was separate. Because there was no knowingness, because it was everything. The space in this room, when it touched this body, began to speak, but then started to look and say, oh, this is the first time, this is myself. This is me, I'm the speaker. But the I that's the speaker is the space in the room, not the limited body form. That's just the, you know, the presence is holding this body, speaking through this body, moving this body. Like Siddharameshwar Maharaj says, this body is there basically for God to be able to experience all these different various things, so that he can lay in a nice bed and go and experience driving in different various vehicles. I think Siddharameshwar Maharaj talks about in Master of Self-Realization. He can get on an airplane and then go to a different country and get in a plane and go to a car and all this sort of stuff using form. Formlessly, there's nothing to do. There's nothing, it's all of everything. There has to be this concept of separation in order for the feeling of otherness to understand, oh, so that I. And once you get tired of pretending yourself to be a limited human being, and you start to, you will manifest in your experience a guru, a master. You will go to this person, and this master, because you believing yourself in a form, you'll believe they're a form. And the presence in you and the presence in that master are exactly the same. And that presence in the master tells the presence in you, you are not body, you were not body, you are not going to remain the body. See yourself as formless, see the master as formless, and then there is no separation.
John?
Yes.
You asked me if I had a question, but
Yeah.
I don't have a question per se at this time. But I would like to dispute something that that Manohar said I'm pretty sure you would probably understand where I'm coming from on that. He mentioned, I'm quoting him, he said, you have seen it, in quotes, seen it. And I'm not so sure if that's a correct statement. I mean, from what you just said, I don't think that subject-object dichotomy, as they say it, that is a problem there. So it cannot be literally seen because there is no medium to see, which you just, I think you said a few minutes earlier.
You feel the subtle sense of presence.
Right, but the thing is, when everything is merged into that, so, or even merge is not the right word. I would say when there is that one, then it excludes the senses at that time. So
Yeah.
you literally do not have a sense to perceive it with, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's not from, because your senses like touch, sight, smell, taste, all these. No,
That's
it's not
gone.
this. This is more of a subtle. You're using the body sort of like to dip into the nectar and sip on this nectar. You're remaining formlessly. Maharaj talks about just I, just I. I without anything. There's just this subtle feeling that is using this body form. Once this body form is gone, then this subtle feeling will be no more, but you will have felt this subtle feeling and know, oh, so that whether body is here or not, this presence is here. The entire world is appearing on this presence. You quote the absolute, this stirring of I exist, and instantaneously the world is projected. And just like when you lay down at night and you go to sleep, boom, the sense of existence mixed with this, whatever the consciousness, the illusion, whatever you want to call it, projects an entire dream world. It's the same here, except this is the nothing, and then there's a stirring in this something. So everything you know, everything you've seen, everything you've done, all the forms, all the everything are inside this bubble of illusion, this spontaneous projection. But when you know that, then you can quite easily operate and move about in this form world, but you know yourself as formless. So you do it very lightly. No worries, no concerns, no tension, no drama. It's just holding the body form rather than belief in the body form.
No, I'm with you on that, and I agree with what you are saying. But what I'm disputing is this tendency to box in the enlightenment and to use it, or I mean whatever that means, enlightenment, and to have this feeling of that it's a means to an end, so to say. I have a problem with that mentality.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a means to an end. And to me, quite frankly, if you were to define enlightenment, it's the dissolution of the concept of separation brought about by I am a body. When you know yourself as formless, then that's it. You just have to dissolve this concept, this false concept of being a body. And like it was this space in this room, if it suddenly touched this body and began to speak, the assumption would be that I'm speaking. I'm using this body to speak. But I don't know that because I didn't know myself prior to this presence occurring or this speaking happening. So I would assume that this body is me. But once the false concept of separation is removed, it just dissolves, basically, because I am not body, I was not body, I'm not going to remain the body. And you know this through the meditation, because in meditation you can sort of sense your subtle nature, your formlessness. So that I. And now, because of mantra, when you're focusing on the mantra, you become one with the mantra. It slowly, silently, and permanently, it dissolves all the illusory layers of you being someone, doing something, the actions, the egoistic sense, even the sense of being a body. And that's why bhajans are very helpful too, because in the ashram, people are doing the bhajan, and it kind of shakes this fundamental concept that I am a body you start to experience yourself. This concept of pressurization in a body form starts to dissolve through this bhajan, through this spontaneous devotion. And as this is occurring, you just remain with your selfless self. You be with you always. As things are seemingly occurring out here, you remain with you. Be with you always. Nisargadatta Maharaj says to remain at the I am. You know, just remain with the I am. This subtle, subtle, subtle sense of presence. And soon, then when you're walking around in your everyday life, you don't have to sit there and keep saying, oh, I'm remaining with presence. Because as you know yourself in a real sense, now you can go about and do whatever you like. It's just as if you were lucidly dreaming. You're in the dream and you know this. You know that everything that's happening is absolutely illusion. So mind kind of stops, because I think this mind flow, you only identify with this mind flow when you believe you're somebody, when you believe you're separate, when you believe you're a form. Because again, the mind can only present ideas, thoughts, and beliefs to you, the formlessness, in form. Because that's all it knows. It can't go prior. It can't. It can dream, it can imagine, it can sort of speculate. But this is not it's not the reality. You're still on the other side of the door of presence. Once this presence has been identified and you say, okay, this sense of I am that. And then you know, I'm the knower of that. Therefore, I'm on the other side of the door of presence. And presence is popping, so to speak, and the entire world is created. All the forms are created. The whole body factory of your family just continuously procreating, and the selfless self animating everything.
Since this is a dialogue, I'm questioning if that example you used about the door on this side and the other side,
Yes.
and I'm questioning if me or us being on the other side of this door, and beyond it, there is that which is the one that you were talking about. So I'm questioning that whatever we are thinking or speculating about the other side, would that be considered a speculation merely as sort of like a conceptualization or a theory, or is that a fact?
Prior to beingness, the first thing that appeared was this presence. This sense of existence. I exist. I am. Beingness. Whatever you want to call it. As this sense of existence came, all these other things arose. However, when you know yourself in a real sense, you're the knower of this subtle sense of presence. When I talk about the door, it's simply as an example. I think Nisargadatta Maharaj talks about, you're remaining at the painted doors, but it's not the painted doors. And that presence is sort of on the other side of presence is the absolute. But this is a good way of saying this nothing, and then something appeared in the nothing. The something is everything you know, all of everything that you know, all your family, your life, all these sort of things. This is the hardest thing for the egoistic sense to comprehend, is that I don't exist. Like you don't. You're kind of a blip on the radar of the nothingness that you are. There is no individuality of any kind. And on the other side of this door, so to speak, this presence, because presence was the primal illusion, you can talk about that, sense of I am, sense of existence, whatever you want to say. This was the first, and all these things appeared on your spontaneous presence. Everything that appears on your presence is illusion, including the instrument in which you're viewing the illusion. Because the instrument is in the illusion, you are not.
Right. No. I hope you excuse me for being the bad guy here, or maybe trying to
please,
contradict.
clear every doubt.
But I'm not really trying to contradict anything. What I'm trying to do is to maybe help clarify or focus on the point. And the point being is what I'm hearing from you. And I couldn't play the devil's advocate here and ask you that all this thing about the oneness and beyond being or prior to being, I question if that's an idea at this stage, or is it a fact? Because we can very well read books and we can get information and share it and sound as if we know it, but do we really know it? And if we do know it, can it be expressed by words, or can it only be expressed by silence? Go ahead, sir.
Can it be? Well, silence is kind of a concept that comes along with the body. Prior to beingness, you didn't know anything about silence. What you're asking is, I'm guessing, how do you know that there's nothing? Well, because
No, that's not the point. The point I'm making is, whatever we are talking about, that's in the field of the known.
Yes, all spiritual entertainment, complete and total waste of your time, in reality.
Well, now the problem is that we don't want to throw too many absolutes around, because then it will stop the communication process.
No, but
so
it's the conveyance.
Excuse me?
It's the conveyance. Presence to presence. Presence is speaking using this body form, speaking to itself in that body form, listening and sort of interpreting through mind, ego, intellect. But presence to presence, it's a recognition and the projection. Just like when I'm sure you bow to the masters, if you look in the eyes of the masters, you will feel that recognition and the projection. If you read Selfless Self or Master of Self-Realization, you're reading the reader, you're feeling, you're getting this sense of recognition in the projection. And intellectual debate is kind of funny, because intellectual debating is causing two separate people to try and form, and you want to be formless. And that's why Maharaj says, this is not a debate, this is not a spiritual instruction, this is nothing. This is a gentle sort of speaking to itself, by itself, for itself. And we talked about last week, every question that arises is a doubt about your formlessness. You doubt that you're formless, and therefore you're taking a position of a form that wants to know or needs to know, or is somehow, like Maharaj says, if you read the books intellectually speaking, that's why Nisargadatta Maharaj had very zero education. Siddharmeshwar Maharaj had very zero education. They accept what their master said. And truly, if you go to, when I went to Sri Ramakant Maharaj, I knew he was the presence in form. There was no Sri Ramakant Maharaj. It was the presence that I am in that form. And that form said, you are not body, you were not body, you're not going to remain body. I accepted this. And in the acceptance then, the mind starts to slow down, because it's not creating doubts. It's not thinking thoughts. It's not trying to figure it out. It just spontaneously occurs. Oh, so that I. And when you put your hand on the head and sing the mantra, and you start using mantra because Master says, this mantra is going to erase all your illusory thoughts. Now, to some other person, you could say, this is God in front of you, and God is saying, say these words and erase this illusion. And I accepted. I'm very happy I did, because my nature is not like that. My nature is to investigate and try to inquire and try to learn. But see, Maharaj was just like, boom, that's finished. Now we can chat spiritual entertainment. It's all good. But it's a matter of internalizing it. Truly, these talks are just talks. Here they are. But the thing is, if you go and you sit with yourself, you spend some time with you, you see these subtle thoughts, these doubts. Eventually, if you just say, oh, I'm having a thought or a doubt, but that's just a doubt of my formlessness. I am not body, I was not body, I'm not going to remain body. Body's not my identity. This doubt or this question has nothing to do with me. It has to do with the appearance that I'm believing myself to be just for this moment. Whoop, that's the subtle mistake, like Maharaj talks about. Oh, brush aside. Using mantra, remaining with your selfless self. Ingesting the knowledge, I think Nisargadatta Maharaj talks about ingesting the knowledge and then chewing it like the cow's cud. Because you're chewing, you're ruminating. What does that mean? That means I'm remaining with that subtle sense of presence. I'm remaining with that I am. I'm just here. Nothing here on, nothing on top of here, just here. Just I, just I. And that's it.
No, I'm with you, John. I'm with you on what you just said. But see, what I'm trying to maybe give to the other side, which is you and other folks listening here, to this process of giving back and forth. See, we are talking about two different things here, because when we talk about non-verbal communication, which you are pointing out between the master and the disciple, that's a very different ball game. That's a very different. We are not. I don't think that can be captured in a talk like this or on a series of talks like this. But what we are doing here is we are a group of seekers, for the lack of a better word, who are sort of going over there or comparing notes here. So I hope that distinction is made clear, that we are talking about two different things. That's the non-verbal part, which I absolutely do not dispute. It's there. But we cannot deny the importance of an intellect. Even looking at an example of Nisargadatta Maharaj, and if I'm sure you have read him, I mean, his intellect is shining forth, almost has the sharpness of a razor blade. I mean, no BS. I mean, he just cuts through stuff, and that's because, and he has never said that don't use the intellect. So we have to be cautious about sort of, putting down one faculty over the other. What do you think?
John, please allow me to answer this. Because I'll tell you in one sentence, Brahman cannot be put into words or cannot be explained in words. Words are just a pointers to it. What I would do is I would just try to get the hang of it, It cannot be put into words, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying, Manohar. That's exactly what I'm saying. So the point that we are saying here is that which cannot be put into words should not even be attempted to be put into words.
Okay, let me tell you. This came from Nisargadatta Maharaj. John just sent this message. It's a beautiful message. What Nisargadatta Maharaj said it. I'm trying to explain you that stuff that came before, prior to sound, but yet you have to understand it in a language which you have just learned, and that's what we're trying to do. That's all.
Right, and I'm with you. I'm following with you on that, Manohar. But what I'm
this is not a discussion group. This is a group that comes together to listen to John's teachings.
No, it's absolutely good. It's absolutely good.
But he said like he knows it all, and he's, it's a bunch of garbage.
No. Everybody.
The attitude is that he knows more than all of us know, and that
I think he's
and that's not, it's not really a discussion group.
He's sharing his perspective, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's also
everyone.
It's sort of like it's not like he's questioning. It's sort of like I'm right and you're wrong.
That's perfectly okay.
No.
Because
I just hope we're not going to have to listen to how right he is every week.
No, I'm not.
John, that's fine. Listen, man, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just share, I apologize if she felt that way. But I just want to clarify a point on what Trish said, that if she is getting that impression, then I'm pretty sure that is a shoe pinching somewhere. Maybe that's her problem. That's not mine, because I have not made any claims of being an expert. I'm just listening and talking to you guys and sharing. I did not know that it's not a discussion group. And
No.
It's not a discussion group.
I'm going to have to say, we can all get along because we are all this selfless self. We're all trying to be oneness, and arguing is certainly not anywhere close to oneness.
No, I'm a little bit surprised at her reaction. Why is she reacting?
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but who knows why. And again, there is no real reaction. There's a selfless self that's experiencing itself through separate body forms with conditioning, believing itself to be an individual on a search for itself. There's always going to be conflict in this way, but we can all be very respectful. I'm quite certain when Maharaj was Skyping, never did anyone go like that. So, You absolutely, Vikas, you can talk as much as you like, and I'll answer any question. And I can't change my position because my position is just from the reality. So I'm willing, absolutely. You have your say. I'm totally cool. I have no problem with anybody talking or asking questions or trying to, quote, put on the hot seat or whatever, because this is a play, you understand? There's nothing going on. There's just a very lightness. And taking the touch of something that's occurring in the illusory world when you know you're not body, who, like Nisargadatta Maharaj says, that you're not talking about me. Like you're seeing a body form and speaking about it, and that's okay. That's fine, but there shouldn't be any kind of like, please everyone, please be respectful. We are all, and that's why bowing is very important. Bowing is I give my ego to you, whomever you may be. That's the whole idea. That was Maharaj's, video that he just put out. It's very important to be respectful. When I'm not respectful, the egoistic sense of self is created through separation, because now I'm right, you're wrong, or you're speaking, da-da-da. It's not like that. It's the self.
John, I really wish that Trish would pay heed to this statement, because it looks like she needs it pretty bad.
Okay, let's all just...
I'd like to say...
the same thing, though, because...
No, you didn't, Trish. It was sort of an outburst, I would say, and it was a pretty rude one at that.
Well, it's just a disappointment because we've had so many wonderful, wonderful sessions with John, and nobody, people ask him questions, but we've never had arguments with him that, somebody's right and he's wrong. And I don't know. I just find him a very profound teacher.
Well, like I said, that seems to be a subjective perception of yours, and I sincerely wish you would look at that. I mean, that's all. I'm not being condescending or trying to tell you to do anything. I'm just a suggestion. Go ahead, Keith.
Well, I was just noticing that when you're speaking, I'm trying to compare what in my own self I get this. Ramakant calls it beingness, that when this world appears and we are apparently in it, it's like he calls it beingness, and I could see in myself that this sense of beingness, the intellect kind of wraps itself around it, and and as long as I have a sense that there's some kind of beingness there other than myself, it takes me to, it just distracts me from being myself, or being the true self that I think John's communicating so well. And I think in fact one of the questions I was going to ask possibly in this session was, when Ramakant talks about beingness, it just for terminology's sake, I think that also immediately brings consciousness into the conversation. Beingness and consciousness they can't be there without each other. Anyway, I was trying to, when you were talking about your perspective, I was trying to see if you were having any kind of a similar sense of beingness, of what that beingness, that being might be something that might actually be in the illusion. Like when I talk about, sometimes in my own mind I'll compare it relative to absolute, and I'll get a sense that there's there must be some kind of beingness in the relative, but then that cancels that kind of, as long as I have that sense that there's beingness in the relative, it cancels out any sense of the absolute beingness, and they just kind of, and it's like the relative beingness is totally dependent on absolute, but it doesn't realize it. I don't know if you Nowhere
Again,
to
I truly would say remain prior to beingness. Remain just, the only thing that you see is the sense of presence. That's it. It immediately gets rid of mind, ego, intellect. When we did the subtle exercise, close your eyes, okay, still seeing, but you're not seeing with these physical eyes. So that gets rid of the whole world, gets rid of the body. A little bit deeper, the screen of mind, you see images and such that are going and coming. So you're witnessing this mind. Now you can also, if you stay long enough, start to witness the thoughts, that there's a gap there. And then the gap, when the thoughts are not, you still are. And now there's a void because there's nothing. You're sort of sitting there witnessing this nothing. And this is the doorway of presence. On the other side of presence, you are. You open your eyes and you know, this is where I am. I'm seeing from the source of seeing. The scenes are passing by. I am not passing by. I'm not using body. This is just, I am. That's it. And this can easily be done very, very quickly to get you to presence. And right there, okay, now opening the eyes. Even though mind and body and all this stuff is there, you don't have to figure anything out. Truly, the only teacher is presence. That's it. And presence can appear as an outside teacher, so to speak, or a guru, or whatever you want to call it, but it's presence. Presence is teaching you. Nisargadatta Maharaj talks about remaining with the I am opens all the secrets. The secrets of the I am is that you're the witness of the I am. You're there prior to I am because it's appeared to you. Whether the I am is or is not, you are, because you're the witness of this I am. This presence is the first, quote, primal illusion, the first sense of existence. That's it. All the other things, you can go way down the Advaita path, way down the Bhagavad Gita path, way down the Christian path, any of these paths, and truly you're going to remain with your selfless self. All of these various things are to impress that recognition in the projection, to allow that invisible, anonymous, unidentified identity, the invisible listener, the invisible reader, to recognize, oh, so that I. Because everything in the illusory world is false, whether it be seemingly true or seemingly false. So the speaking that you are speaking about, the silence is also something that's a subtle something appearing on presence. Without presence, this is a dead body. Dead body doesn't experience silence. You will experience the silence of the dead body, but dead body doesn't experience silence. When the presence is gone from this body form, that's it. But see, again, there you go with the pot, the space in the pot and the space outside the pot. When the pot breaks, the space doesn't go anywhere. Sri Ramana Maharshi talked about, oh, where am I to go when I die? And once you know yourself in a real sense, this will be impressed. It's spontaneous conviction. When you say, how do you see in this seeing way? Because there's no you anymore. There's a formlessness that's seeing scenes past before, that's not taking the touch of anything, that can turn this off and walk away, and it's clear. Everything is picking up the bottle, drinking, and putting down. There's no footprints in memory. There's no trying to figure anything out. There's nothing to figure out. Except like planning, okay, tomorrow I'd like to go to the movies at 3 o'clock. I need to order tickets. This is a thought process, but it's not, you're the one who's the master of the mind. You're choosing the thoughts of, this is something I wish to do. I'm using this body form to do this. And see, then you don't have to get into all this, I'm using this body form. You know yourself in a real sense, so you know, I'm the formlessness. If you get lost in the illusion, you can always remind yourself that you're formless through mantra, through meditation, through bhajan. And it's that simple. You know this sense of presence, oh, so that I. Remain there, because presence is going to teach you everything. And then you can throw away all the books, because you know that all these books were just to get you to the invisible listener that you are.
John, I think Keith was making a point there. And Keith, are you satisfied, or could you rephrase the distinction you were making?
Oh, well, I'm just saying that, you know, sometimes I get that sense of just being me, but it usually dissipates when I get a sense that there is some kind of being that I know, and the sense of being always draws me into it, and I think that things exist, and I think that I exist. It's that sense of beingness that always trips me up, and even though sometimes it's also simple and clear, that like what John's saying, but it's gradually growing. It is something that's it seems to be deepening. It's like it's not something that I can just say now I have it. Maybe eventually, if the conviction will hit me, and then I won't question myself. I won't have the questions anymore. But for now, I do get. I think I think that I get tricked into believing that the relative thoughts that there's being in there somewhere, but there is no being there, because I've experienced that the only being is the beyond, and it's not any kind of known being. So I'm just saying that the sense of being tricks me up because I get attached to it. Like I'll think of I'm enjoying something, and it's so easy to fall for it, because I'll think I'm falling or I'm enjoying this thing. So I automatically start thinking there's being to what I'm doing, but actually I'm the source of it. Nothing that I'm doing would even be possible unless I was like where John's coming from, unless it's coming out of me. But it itself, what I'm doing, has no being. But I always get tricked into believing that somehow, or I get a sense that things in the relative world have being. But that's why I keep, that's why I guess the training is to not be tricked into that false sense of being that is so easy to be attracted to. Anyway, that's pretty much what I was trying to get at.
Thanks, man.
Because let me put one thing. Don't get offended though, and not anyone else though. Words that come from mouth of an enlightenment master, right? They have more value. That's the reason I just don't even talk when I sit in front of a master and when a master is talking also. So that way, my absorption gets more like 100%. That's all. Of course, if you have any questions, Pretty June, that's fine. The way I approaches it when a master is talking, I just sit blind. I just blindly listen.
Manohar, hang on a second. Who is the master here?
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, let me ask you. You keep interrupting, and I'm asking you a question back. Who is the master here?
The way I see it, I take John as a master here. So.
Well, that's your opinion, and you are.
Well, it's all of our opinion except you.
Sorry?
I think
we had a nice group, and then you joined us. We're here as students of John.
It's not. We're in the end of our time here.
Yeah, because we usually cut off at 8:15. You're welcome to come back next week, but we only do for like 1 hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
All
I
right.
did everything.
All right.
Everyone
Thanks,
enjoy
John.
your evening.
Thank you.
It was good having you here, Vicus. I'm glad you're here.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Good having you all here.